Why are we here? How can we be happy? These are questions I've been curious about since a very young age. I'm your host, Anna Goldstein, and this is the Profit with Purpose show. I believe we have the answers within us, but somewhere along the way, we stopped trusting ourselves. I'm interviewing top entrepreneurs, healers, and change makers about mindfulness strategies and practical tools to help you carve your path. Join me as you reconnect with your heart and live courageously so that we make the world a better place. Welcome back, Purpose Seekers. This is episode number 163. It's me again on this episode, and I'm a bit behind on doing interviews with all the editing and everything else. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago on my last podcast of 2019, I got a book contract. So I have been writing and really enjoying the process. So I haven't been focused on podcasting as much, but I want to maintain the weekly podcast. So I'm coming on to jump on and share a little bit of my own wisdom, which is slightly new for me because I have the tendency to really draw out the wisdom in others. And this book is helping me actually draw out the wisdom in myself and share it. So it's actually been a really enjoyable journey for me. I've been listening to some jazz music while I write, and I'm just letting myself write and letting the ideas flow. And I've gotten out 18,334 words so far, and I believe that I have to write 20,000 words. So I'm getting closer. I'm way ahead of schedule, but I'm sure a lot has to be taken out and organized and added and things like that. So it's definitely a process. It's a big project. But anyways, I wanted to jump on and talk about getting to know yourself as the basis of confidence, understanding who you are really, knowing what your truth is and connecting with the truth of who you really are versus the limited stories in your head of who you think you are. So there's a great distinction between who you think you are and who you really are at your core. So there's a philosophy that at our core, we are unlimited potential, but the mind identifies with this limited sense of self. So it's almost as if there's this really big contradiction happening because we're so consumed with the thoughts in our heads that a lot of the time we don't even recognize that we're thinking, and these thoughts become who we think we are, and then we act and behave according to the thoughts in our head versus the truth in our hearts. So let's first talk about the voice in your head, that limited sense of self that tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough experience, you're not pretty enough. It tells you that you're not enough, you'll never be X, Y, and Z. And it's very fearful, it's very judgmental, it's a harsh critic, essentially. And the voice in your head often sounds loud, its pace is usually pretty fast, and its tone is pretty harsh. So it's telling you all the things that you're doing wrong for the most part and what you need to do. And then it has you grasping at things and trying to cover up or trying to avoid a sense of void that you might feel deep in your heart. Whatever it is, it's grasping for something outside of yourself to try to cover up the fact that you don't feel enough in some way, shape, or form. And this has us behave in all sorts of, I want to say, kind of crazy ways, not intentionally. It just kind of happens. It's a reaction to our, fearful small self, is that it has us engage in behaviors that don't produce results that are for our best interest a lot of the time. So how do we make the shift from listening to this loud inner critic, this voice in our head, to connecting with our deepest potential, our unlimited sense of self that is already there, that already exists within our heart? And some of it is first just recognizing that the thoughts in your head are not who you are, they're who you think you are. And who you really are is unlimited potential, and identifying with that ability and that capability that you can grow, you can change, you can improve. A lot of the time we think that we just are a certain way and that we're stuck, but we actually can change, and identifying with that potential and even the potential to change. So even if you had a slight change in maybe an attitude or an outlook, it proves that we can change, that we can grow. So it's turning up the voice, the wisdom within our hearts that knows this to be true. And it's trusting our good, kind-hearted nature that's already there. Kindness creates confidence, kindness towards oneself, right? So practicing non-harmful thoughts, practicing connecting with that potential. And it's really a practice. That's why I'm using the word practice, because we have so much practice thinking that we are this voice in our head and we're walking around and we're consumed by it. And if you have conversations with others, you might be able to recognize that they're consumed with this voice in their head versus their heart, of really connecting with the basic goodness that's already there. And so making that louder, like, what do you really like about yourself? And it could be as simple as, I like that my intention is good most of the time. Internally, if we're not identified with our delusions, that we are good natured in our hearts and we want the best for ourselves and we want the best for others. It's when we get caught up in the ego that we create disharmony, dissatisfaction, even war, I would say. But it's when we connect with that wisdom in our heart is when we can create more inner peace. And from that experience, we will change the way that we behave and interact with others. So that's my message for today. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at info@AnnaGoldstein, and may you have a blessed day. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and family and write a review. It keeps this podcast going. Questions? Email me at info@AnnaGoldstein.com. Remember to carve your path and be kind to someone today.